Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is September 16th, 2024, and we do have an injury update in regards to Dani Olmo and what are Barcelona's alternatives. Also, the club are currently preparing a massive contract for Lamine Yamal. And finally, it's been revealed the VAR conversation that led to the cancellation of Girona's penalty kick against Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo. This is the Barca News live podcast where not only do I bring you Barcelona news, but I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments out loud, answering questions, and getting a discussion going. For those of you who'll be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting chapters in the timeline and timestamps in the description in case you do want to skip through the discussion. And of course, as always, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to hit the Goal Kids, Kickback, or Fanatics. And if you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure you head to Bet Us where you can make bets on all sports, not just Barcelona matches or football. Anyways, let's begin with the news. And let's begin with the news of Ferran Torres. Because as you might recall, Ferran Torres received a red card in the match between Barcelona and Girona, or I should say Girona and Barcelona, since Barcelona were playing an away match. And well, after the match, Ferran Torres issued an apology to all his teammates and also to Asprilla, who was the Girona player he fouled. And this is what the Barcelona player had to say. I'll make this bigger so you can see it better, and I'll take off my logo. But Ferran Torres said, "We won," which is the most important thing. But I want to take this opportunity to apologize to the team, the fans, and the opposition player. My desire played a trick on me in that fortuitous action. On Thursday, a new challenge begins. So Ferran Torres apologizing to all his teammates, to the Girona player, which is Asprilla, and also to all the fans for getting expelled. Of course, he will receive a one-match suspension, which means he will not be available for the next La Liga match. But of course, he will be available for the Champions League match on Thursday against Monaco. And that is what he was referring to, that on Thursday, a new challenge begins. Now, I'm still of the opinion that Ferran Torres' red card was not really a red card, and I'll make this bigger. All right, I'll even take myself off so you can see it better. There you see it. He steps on Asprilla's foot. Clear foul. Clear yellow card. But to me, the red card was a little bit too excessive. I mean, we see these fouls all the time. We see these fouls almost in every match in La Liga. A player goes to take the ball, ends up stepping on the opposition player, and it's always a yellow card. It's always been a yellow card. I think the red card was a little bit excessive, but that's the state of La Liga's referees where, nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody interprets the same exact play in different ways. What can we do? We can't argue with it. What's done, it's done. Ferran Torres will have a one-match suspension, but a good gesture of him to apologize to everyone. Now, from this bad news, we do move on to good news because today, ladies and gentlemen, Frenkie de Jong completed part of the group training, which is signaling that he is reaching the final phase of his recovery. When players get injured, at first, they train by themselves individually. They do exercises to strengthen themselves. Then they continue working individually, but then they start working with the ball. And then they get moved on to the group training sessions, which is the last final phase of the recovery. Usually the first part of that phase is doing part of the group training, and then they move on to doing the full group training. While Frenkie de Jong has started doing part of the group training. He did part of the group training today with Gabi, because remember, Gabi's also doing group trainings as well, which means that both of them are getting ready to come back to action. Now, Gabi's probably not going to be ready until the FIFA international break, so he'll probably be available for that Sevilla match on October 20th, if I'm not mistaken. But Frenkie de Jong is expected to come back sooner, somewhere around the Getafe, maybe the Osasuna match. But we do know that Frenkie de Jong is getting ready to come back. And not only Frenkie, but also Ansu Fati, ladies and gentlemen, who is expected to be available for Thursday's match against Monaco in the Champions League. He's been out for 2 months now with that foot injury that was caused during training session when he clashed with one of his teammates. He started doing group trainings last week. I think it was last Monday, if I'm not mistaken. And now it seems like he will be ready for Thursday's match against Monaco. And a cherry on top to add to the good news that Ansu is close to coming back. It's reported that Hansi Flick is very impressed with Ansu since Ansu joined the group trainings. Now, we know Flick was impressed with Ansu during the preseason. When the preseason began, Flick wanted to take him to the preseason tour in the U.S. Unfortunately, Ansu got injured, so he didn't get to travel to the U.S. And now that Ansu's back to group trainings, Flick is once again very, very impressed with him. Now, let's remember, Flick believes that he can extract the best out of Ansu, that he can bring him back to his previous form before the injuries. And hopefully that's going to be the case because I think we've all missed that great Ansu before the injuries. And hopefully Flick can bring him back to that form because we definitely need as many available players as possible. And, of course, players who can do great by Barcelona. So great news there, ladies and gentlemen. Frankie de Jong expected to be back by Getafe or Osasuna. Ansu Fati expected to be back on Thursday. And with that, we'll finish the first segment of this podcast. And let's move on to the chat section to see what you guys are saying. And then we will talk about Dani Olmo's injury and Barcelona's alternatives as far as replacing him. All right, let's see. Abduli says, thank God we have many midfielders and Olmo will be coming back right on time. Agree, we do have plenty of midfielders. It's something I'm going to talk about in the next segment. Not the Gamer says, hey Mo, any updates on Araujo's injury? Araujo's expected to be back sometime around November, maybe December, so towards the end of this year, so not anytime soon. Gia says, Olmo injury is sad, but now Fermin gets to shine. Talk about it in a little bit. Nicholas says, Mo, love coming from Trinidad. Once Flick don't get injured, don't have any worries. We are in good hands. I agree. I mean, even if Flick gets injured, I think he'll be fine. You know, he doesn't have to run. He can just sit on the bench and just direct the players from the bench. And Romain says, Bo, I respect you not being any negativity with the match review. Lewy and Mats didn't have the best game, but the bigger picture is the positive results. I think the only thing about Mark ter Stegen, it was his passes. Some of his passes were completely off. That's something that's been going on since last season. But overall, I think ter Stegen still had a decent match. He didn't have much work to do, but he did stop one clear chance that Girona had where the Girona player was right in front of goal, kicks it, ter Stegen blocks it. I know for Girona's goal, he did come out a little bit late, but that wasn't really his fault. I think he was just left by himself, and there wasn't much that ter Stegen could have done to stop Girona's goal. I think that was more of the defense lost concentration a little bit. It was like a gaffe, but you can't really blame ter Stegen for that. It would be like blaming Girona's goalkeeper for Pedri's goal, where Pedri just dribbles him and scores. Now, Curtis says the referee seems hasty and hurried to pull out the card. Let that happen at Madrid. I agree with you. I think he was very hasty. I think it's because it happened right in front of him, and the way Asprilla is a Girona player that Ferran fouled, the way Asprilla flew in the air and screamed and fell and tumbled, I think it looked a lot more aggressive than what it actually is. Had Ferran gone in with his studs up and had hit Asprilla in the shin, I get it. Absolutely. Red card. But he stepped on his foot. That's a clear yellow. That happens every match. We see this foul all the time. Players stepping on other players and they get a yellow. It's always been a yellow for as long as I can remember. I think it was very, very hasty that he pulled that red card. So I agree with you. And Ross says, guys, it's sad that he's injured, but let's look at the bigger picture here. He'll be back. I'm guessing you meant back. I mean, yes, all players come back from injury unless they die or something. Anyways, let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about Dani Olmo's injury. How long he will be out, and most importantly, what will be Barcelona's alternative. Now, today, Barcelona confirmed that Olmo's injury was actually a lot more serious than everybody expected. We saw Olmo getting subbed out in the match against Girona. We initially thought maybe it was his nose because he was bleeding. Then we saw him touching his knee when he was on the bench, and that caused some concerns because we know that Olmo had a hit to his knee during the FIFA international break. But then after that, the club kind of was had this optimistic feeling, and as such, reports started to come out that maybe Olmo's injury is not as serious as we all thought. And in fact, the club thought that too, all the way up until the medical exam that took place today. Because as you know, players, when they get injured, they undergo a medical exam the following day. So up to that medical exam, Barcelona were feeling confident. They thought that maybe it was just a knock, maybe it was a little bit of exhaustion. They didn't expect anything serious. And while surprise, surprise, the medical reports revealed that Dani Olmo has an injury to his right thigh. Now, it seems to be a more serious injury than initially anticipated, and it's expected that Dani Olmo will miss from 4 to 5 weeks. Now, that's a lot of matches. That's a lot of matches because, of course, we do have a hectic calendar during this month. We know that Barcelona is going to be playing a match every 3 or 4 days. So because of that, that means that Olmo will miss up to 7 matches total. Now, you might say, what matches are those, Mo? Please tell us. Well, don't worry. Let's pull up the calendar so we can look at what matches will Dani Olmo be missing. All right, the first match, of course, will be the Champions League match against Monaco on this Thursday, followed by the away match against Villarreal. The Monaco match is also away. Followed by the home match against Getafe. That's when Frankie's expected to come back. Followed by the away match against Osasuna. That could also be a date where Frankie de Jong will be back. And then another Champions League match against Young Boys. Such a terrible name for a club, by the way, because it just makes conversation afterwards, very uncomfortable. Like Barcelona demolishes Young Boys in the Champions League to say Barcelona completely destroyed Young Boys. That just seems wrong. But anyways, then the Alaves match in La Liga, the Barcelona match against Sevilla, and finally, they are hoping that Dani Olmo could be back by the Bayern Munich match in the Champions League on October 23rd. So that's Monaco, Villarreal, Getafe, Osasuna, Young Boys, Alaves, and Sevilla. And Barcelona are hoping that Dani Olmo will be back by the Bayern Munich match, which is a few days later. It's followed by a Clásico match at the Santiago Bernabeu. Now, what's the silver lining in all of this? Dani Olmo will miss the FIFA international break. I guess if you want to look at it in a positive way, if you want to spin it in a positive way, at least we know that Dani Olmo will miss the international break because right after the Alaves match on October 6th, there will be a 2-week FIFA international break, and then La Liga will resume on October 20th against Sevilla. So I guess if you want to look at it positively, that's one positive thing that has come out of this. Now, you might wonder, well, what are Barcelona's alternatives? Because Dani Olmo, ever since he got registered, he's been key in Hansi Flick's scheme. He has been a definitive starter for him. He has fit right like a glove in the Barcelona and Flick's scheme. He has been very important for Flick, scoring goals, wreaking havoc on opposing teams' defenses. So you might wonder, what can Flick do? Now, the first alternative, Rafinha. We saw Rafinha played in that position the first 2 matches when Dani Olmo was not registered. So Flick can always use Rafinha in that attacking midfield position. And of course, that would leave the left wing open. But Ansu's back by Thursday. Ansu can fill that position. And we also have Ferran, who might not be available for the weekend match, but he will be available for the Champions League match. Now, I personally prefer Rafinha on the left. I think Rafinha has done a much better job on the left than when he played in the attacking midfield position. But it's still an option, and it's still something that Hansi Flick has actually tried. So it's not like it will be a completely foreign concept to Rafinha to play in that position. Now, the second alternative, Fermín López. Fermín López would, of course, be the natural replacement for Dani Olmo. They're the same kind of profile of a player. Fermín is attacking midfielder, natural attacking midfielder that can play in that position. But of course, we do know that Fermín is currently injured. He got injured during the FIFA international break. So once he's back, he could definitely fill that position. You might say when? It's expected against Getafe. So Fermín could be back against Getafe. And again, he could fill that position of Dani Olmo. Another option, Pedri. That's actually Pedri's, to me, in my opinion, Pedri does a lot better in that attacking midfield position than in a double pivot. Not to say that Pedri doesn't do a good job at a double pivot. I think he does a great job there. But I do like him as an attacking midfielder more because Pedri is more of a creative midfielder. So I think in that position leaves him to be more creative, to filter those balls to our attacking front three. And of course, Pedri could fill it. He's filled it before. And that would mean that Eric Garcia would have to play as a double pivot right next to Marc Casado. We know that Flick likes Eric Garcia in a pivot position a lot better than as a center back. And in fact, we've only seen Eric Garcia play in a double pivot position. So I think if Pedri gets put in the place of Dani Olmo, Eric Garcia will have to take his place. Now, the next option would be Pablo Torre, another player who can play in an attacking midfield position. He's a very creative midfielder who knows how to associate well with his teammates. My only concern with Pablo Torre filling that position, I think it has to do with he does not play with as much intensity as Dani Olmo. Pablo Torre is very good in the attack. He's really good reading the plays, really good seeing the field, filtering passes, combining with his teammates, and he can even make those runs to the box. But when it comes to dropping back and helping with the defense or dropping back to recover the ball, he's not as a hard worker as, let's say, Dani Olmo or even Rafinha, right? That's my only concern. He's more of a Ricky Puig kind of profile where very good with the ball at their feet, but when they lose the ball, they're a little bit slow to come back or a little bit, I don't know if you want to say lazy, but just not, they don't play as much intensity. Now, another option, we have Ansu Fati, who'll be back by Thursday. You can always play him behind Lewandowski, kind of like as a second striker. Or, of course, Pau Victor, because we have seen Pau Victor play right behind Lewandowski in the preseason. It worked out really well. You know, Pau Victor can move really well. He's very, very mobile, and he can not only score goals, but he can actually make some pretty good passes from that position. We saw it all throughout the preseason in the U.S. So Barcelona have plenty of options to fill that position until almost back by Bayern Munich. And that begs the question, who would you like to see in Dani Olmo's place? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this after it ends. All right, let's do the chat section, and then we will talk about Lamine Yamal and the massive contract that Barcelona are preparing for him. Adonsi says, hi, Mo. All our problems are solved now. I am not worried about our players being injured, but last season, these guys were playing with my heart thanks to Flick. You know, it's something I talked about a lot last season. I said, when you have a structure for the whole team, and when you have an identity or a system of play for the whole team, and when all of your team plays as a whole one unit, where every player knows what to do and every player knows how to play with their other teammates, injuries become less detrimental. Doesn't mean that they don't matter at all. They do, but they don't matter as much. Because if every player works as one part of the whole system, when you take that player out and you replace them with someone else, and now someone else also knows how to play within the whole system, the system continues to work, right? And we've seen it time and time again. You know, Bernal got injured. Casado took his place. It's like nothing happened, right? Even with the substitutions. When we have substitutions, players come out, other players take their place, nothing changes. The team continues to play the same way. Because that's what happens when you develop a system where the players are only a part of that system, a small part of the system, a cog in the system. Now, when you're talking about coaches like Xabi, like Koeman, who did not know how to develop that system, where they had to depend on individual talent, the injuries become a lot more impactful because now you're dependent on the individual players. So when a player comes out and someone takes his place, and that might not be as good, now the whole team's performance goes down because now you're dependent on individual talent rather than on the whole team's talent as a whole, as a one unit. So injuries still matter, but of course, they're not as impactful than when you only depend on individual talent. All right, let's see. Joy says, hi, Mo. Any updates on Dani Olmo injury? We just covered it. And we do have a donation. Baby's comeback. Thank you so much, my friend. Says, what's up, Mo? Flick substitutions are top tier. I agree. I think he did really good substitution in the first 3 matches where we won 2-1, where the team had started the first halves not as good. And then during halftimes, Flick did adjustments. Boom, the team started playing well. The last 2 matches, Valladolid and Girona, I don't know why I blanked. The team played great from the first minute to the last minute, which was a huge improvement from the first two matches. Sayed says, I do think Olmo's injury is not that serious, but Barca intentionally mentioned a longer injury period so that he can get rest on international break and will be back before Bayern and Real Madrid. The reason why Barcelona have given him a longer period of recovery is because they want to take all precautions. Remember, it's the same with Gabi, right? Gabi could technically come back sooner, but Barcelona doesn't want that. Barcelona want to be not 100%, 200% sure that Gabi is ready to come back. So that's why they haven't been rushing it. They haven't been pushing it. They haven't been given a deadline. They're kind of like, just keep going. When you feel ready, when your tests are positive, or I guess negative for injury, you'll come back. It's the same with Dani Olmo. They don't want to take any precautions with him. They want to take as long as needed, even more, because let's not forget, Dani Olmo is injury prone. Dani Olmo, all his career at Leipzig, he's always suffered from injuries every single season. He's always missed, I think it's an average of 14 matches or something like that. He is injury prone. So Barcelona don't want to risk it. They don't want to bring him back earlier just to have him get it re-injured. They want to make sure that they do this 100% right. And Mark says, my favorite part about Young Boys is that the name of their stadium is called what? Hector. I actually did not know that, but that's hilarious. All right, let's get back to the news and then we'll do more comments. But let's talk about Lamine Yamal and the massive contract that Barcelona are currently preparing. Now, Lamine Yamal renewed his contract very recently. I think it was last season, if not mistaken. And the contract that Barcelona gave him was a contract given to a promising player, to someone who's young, who has a bright future, but not necessarily a contract for a star, right? This is what was a contract worthy of someone who could be a star in the future, but is not there yet. Now, that contract was set to be renewed when Lamine turned 18, because remember, Lamine is 17 right now. He was 16 when he signed the renewal. And under the rules, if you're under 18, you can only sign 3-year contracts. You cannot sign long contracts. So Barcelona renewed the contract of Lamine until 2026, 3 years. And they agree with him that when he turned 18, they were going to give him a longer contract. But what happened since then? Well, Lamine Yamal has had a huge explosion. We saw it in the Euros. He was a key player in Luis de la Fuente's team. He was one of the main reasons why Spain won the Euros. And now he's having a great start to La Liga. 4 goals and 3 assists. For someone his age, I can't remember the last time we saw those kind of numbers. And as such, Barcelona now know, it's clear to Barcelona that they are going to have to give him a different contract. It's no longer going to be a contract for a promising player. It has to be a contract for a star. Not for someone that can become a star, but for an actual star, because now Lamine Yamal has reached the status of a star player at only 17 years old. Now, Barcelona have already scheduled a meeting with Jorge Mendes, which is the agent for Lamine Yamal. And during this meeting, they want to set up the parameters of the contract. Because again, Lamine doesn't turn 18 until next year in the summer, I think. I know it's next year. So the first meeting is going to be just to set the parameters, an idea of what the contract could look like. And then from there, they'll go into the details. Now, what are the parameters? Well, Barcelona want to give Lamine Yamal a contract until 2030. So that's 6 years from now. Of course, they want to give him a €1 billion release clause because now pretty much every club on earth are interested in Lamine. So they want to make sure to protect him from any exterior desire, if you want to call it that. As you might recall from yesterday's video, it's been confirmed that PSG offered $250 million for Lamine Yamal. So these clubs are very serious about signing him or poaching him. So Barcelona want to protect that by putting a €1 billion release clause. And finally, to give him a salary worthy of his status. Because right now, Lamine Yamal is the best player on the squad, undoubtedly. His salary is $1.5 million. That does not reflect the importance of Lamine. For example, Lewandowski, 16 million. Lamine, 1.5. Who's better? Right now, Lamine, right? So they want to give him a salary that would put him at the top of the list as far as salaries, because if you are the most important player, your salary should also reflect that. So those are the parameters that Barcelona will be working on. 2030 contract, €1 billion release clause, and a salary that's worthy of Lamine Yamal's status within the club, which is the best player on the squad. And finally, this will be a historical contract because not even Messi was given a contract like this at 17 years old. So it's definitely going to be the biggest contract given to a 17-year-old in the history of Barcelona. I'm not sure about the history of Europe. I would have to go back and do some digging as far as contracts given to teenagers, but it's definitely going to be a historic contract that Barcelona are preparing and will be negotiating with Jorge Mendes during the upcoming months to make sure to send a clear message to Lamine that he is the future bet, the present and the future bet, and then Barcelona want him to be the star of the team. So that's it. All right, let's get back to the chat section, and then we will talk about the VAR conversation that's been released, which led to the penalty kick denial of Girona. Mark says, don't panic. Barcelona just gave that time frame because, oh, wait, already read that. All right. Sayed says, I do think Olmo's injury is not that serious, but Barca intentionally mentioned the play and injury period. Wait, did I read that? Did I read the previous one? I think they both mean the same, but precaution. That's why Barcelona are given that deadline. Victor says, I think that all players have value and it's just disrespectful to call him something like shite. I think that Ferran has the goal positioning better than everyone in the team. He just needs to finish. I do agree with that statement. I've always said, I don't think Ferran is a bad player. I just don't think he's Barca level, right? But, for some reason, a lot of people see things black and white. You're either great or you're shit. And it's like, no, there's a lot of gray in the middle, right? That's because you're not good enough for Barcelona doesn't mean you're just shit. After all, Ferran is a professional player. You don't get to be a professional player if you're shit. You don't get to play for Valencia, Manchester City, and Barcelona if you're absolute shit, right? I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's Barca level. But you're right. His position is good. Ferran is a lot better without the ball than with the ball. And that might sound stupid because you're like, it's football. You need the ball, right? But Ferran's actually pretty good without the ball. He knows how to position himself, like you said. He knows how to read the field pretty good. He knows how to run to the right spaces. But you're right. He is terrible at finishing. Maybe it's a confidence thing. I don't know. Or maybe his finishing is just not Barca level. I don't know. But I wouldn't say Ferran is shit. He's just not Barca level. All right, let's see. Sayed says, I do think... are you just copy-pasting the same comment? Kevara says, Pedri to replace Olmo naturally until Fermin returns. I think I agree with that statement. I think Pedri would be the best replacement for Olmo. I think Pedri would be even better in that position as Fermin. But, of course, we do need someone in double pivot. So once Fermin comes back, Fermin can fill for that position and then just have Pedri drop back down in a double pivot with Marc Casado. And we do have a donation. My friend Aaron, always so generous with his donation, says, so last night I had a dream. Was playing for Barca and was wearing number 8 for some reason. Pedri tackled me in game, got in my face, and I screamed, I'm the 8. Get a new number. I swear I didn't think I drank that much yesterday. That's a great dream, man. And the ball's on you to tell Pedri, hey, that's my number. But that's right. You stand up to him. Fuck you, Pedri. Number 8 is yours, man. I'm with you. I agree 100%. But that is hilarious. My dream was that I was covered in puppies and cats. And it was a great dream, by the way. I don't know if that's the universe telling me I need more pets, but that was my dream. I was covered in puppies and cats. The weird thing is that I was visiting a dog that I know that had puppies. And I was there to visit the puppies of the dog. But the dog had also had cats, which, apparently it's possible in my dreams that a dog gives birth to dogs and cats. But it was a cool dream. But that's not as cool as your dream. That is hilarious. That is the best dream I've heard in a while. All right, one more. Kalfa says, I'm not rushing, but Barca want to seem like they are cooking something. They are. They definitely are. But again, let's take it easy. New project, new coach. Let's take it one match at a time. All right, let's do the last bit of news, and then we will do more comments, I promise. But let's talk about the conversation between the VAR and the referee on the field that led to the penalty kick denial for Girona. Now, we all saw the play right there. It's on your screens. I'll make it bigger. Where Girona was attacking. There was a cross into the box. Balde jumps to intercept it. Balde hits the ball and ends up hitting Iñigo Martinez, who happened to be landing from a jump because Iñigo jumped too. But as he was coming down, naturally his arms were, of course, extended. The ball hits Iñigo Martinez's arm, and the referee immediately blows the whistle, calls a penalty kick, and the VAR interceded, which was pretty remarkable to see. We've seen so many plays where they were clearly not the correct calls, that the VAR was asleep at the wheel, didn't even bother to talk to the referee. But here they did. It took their time because Girona's player had already the ball on the penalty kick spot and was ready to take it when they called him. Referee goes to the screen, and they determined that it's not a penalty kick. Now, there's been a lot of outroar in the media. You know, all the Madridistas are now, oh, referees, Negreira, blah, blah, blah. Well, that was a clear penalty kick. Well, I said it yesterday. I didn't think it was. But let's look at why the referees believed that it was not a penalty kick, as the VAR tapes have been released, and this is the conversation. The VAR called the referee, whose name is Alejandro Ruiz, and the VAR said, Alejandro, look, I'm going to recommend a review so you can see that Iñigo Martinez's handball comes from his teammate Balde. Now, Alejandro Ruiz, the referee on the field, responded, okay, the handball is open, but it comes from Balde. The VAR then elaborated. Now, this is all happening while the referee is now at the screen. The ball hits his hand, open hand, punishable hand, but it comes from his teammate. We open him up with this one, and then we'll show him this one, and then whatever he asks for, because the rest are swept away. But here it's clear. Now, Ruiz looks at the images, here's what the VAR is saying, and says, the arm is very open. I don't need anything else. I see it clearly. Open arm, clearance from a teammate towards the hand at shoulder high. Perfect. I cancel the penalty. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. There's the reason. It's not because Negreira paid the referees. It's not because referees are biased toward Barcelona and all that crap that we've been seeing on social media. It's because the ball came from Balde. Balde intercepts the ball. He hits Iñigo Martinez in the arm. Iñigo Martinez is back to the ball. That's another thing. And he's coming down from a jump. It hits him in his arm. And like I said yesterday, it had zero effect on the play. The ball hits Iñigo. It does not... Iñigo with his arm was not intercepting a pass from a Girona player. He was not intercepting a shot from a Girona player. If Iñigo wasn't there, the ball wouldn't have landed to a Girona player who could have scored. It was absolutely had 0-0 effect on the whole play. And of course, the ball came from a teammate. And we know when it comes off on a teammate or when it bounces off your own body, that's not a penalty. Just because it's a handball, it doesn't mean it's a penalty. There are rules, and the rules are clear. If the ball bounces off your own body from a legal part, like your leg into your arm, it's not a penalty. If the ball bounces off a teammate and hits you, it's not a penalty. Those are the rules. I'm not making them up. You don't believe me? Look it up. There's the reason of the referees. So the next time your Madridista friend starts talking about corruption and referees, show them this conversation and tell them to go learn the rules of the sport. Otherwise, why are you watching a sport you don't understand its rules? That doesn't make any sense. You don't see me watching hockey because I don't understand the rules. Anyways, let's get back to the comments, and then we will end this. And we do have another donation. All right. Tigran Zalian. I think it's the first donation ever, if I'm not mistaken. I'm guessing it's a super sticker, but I can't see it because the software is crap. But nonetheless, thank you so much for your donation. Thank you for your generosity. I'll make sure to go watch. I'm going to watch the live once it ends to see what sticker you put on there. But thank you, my friend, so much for your donation. That's very, very generous of you. And Shams says, hopefully Lewandowski gets better at passing so he can fit in better with this champagne football. That's not going to happen. That's not the kind of striker Lewandowski is. Lewandowski is your classic number 9. He's a killer in the box. Box predator, whatever the hell you want to call him, all these fancy names that the sport media comes out with. But he's a killer in the box. He stands in the box. He waits for a pass. If he gets the pass in the box, you're getting a goal. That's the kind of profile he is. He's not a 9 that's mobile. He's not a 9 that's going to dribble past players. He's not a 9 that's going to combine with his teammates. You know, that's not his role. That's not his profile. That's not his role. It's never been. And at 36 years old, it's definitely not going to happen. He's already developed as a player. He's not going to all of a sudden learn how to do tiki-taka. That just doesn't happen. Once players reach their prime, that's it. They have been formed, and the way they play, it's what you're going to get. That's it. Maybe if Lewandowski was 19, 20, maybe he could start learning. Maybe they could start teaching him. But at 36, like they say, you can't teach a dog old dog new tricks. Yeah, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. All right, let's see. Suhaid says, good morning from Malaysia. Wow, all the way from Malaysia. Hope that Paulo Torre will get a chance. Thank you, my friend. And just a curiosity, where is Malaysia? No, where's Malaysia? What time is it in Malaysia? I know where Malaysia is. What time is it in Malaysia? That's pretty good. I think you're the furthest person, or a person from the furthest country that's ever commented. No, actually, I did have a comment once from Australia. But I guess Australia, Malaysia, they're kind of on the same altitude. Yeah. All right. Zeal says, hello, Mo. Any news on the Nike deal? All of our players should be registered by now. Let them not wait till the last minute to do that. It's a shame to us. No news yet. Still being negotiated. They're expecting maybe around October. But registrations, we have until the end of the year as far as Dani Olmo, Pau Victor, I think Inigo too. The rest of the players, they're registered until the end of the season. All right, let's see. Marcus says, Mo, at one point I honestly thought it was a handball all along. I didn't even know that rule. Yeah. Oh, we learned something new. Hey, Aaron says, I can't believe with all the donations myself and others have given you, you still haven't upgraded your software. No shade, just saying. The thing is, it's a year subscription. And when I first signed up, and I should have known better, I shouldn't have done the yearly membership. I should have done a monthly one, because they have the monthly one and then they have the whole year. Obviously, the whole year it's a lot cheaper, right? You save a lot more money. So my dumbass did the yearly one, so I have to wait for the full year to expire. I think it's next month, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to check. But yeah, that was my bad. I should have at least tried it for a month, and then if I liked it, I could have done a full year. But yeah, that was my bad. But, it's a learning journey. It's a learning journey. This whole YouTube thing was completely new to me when I started it. I didn't even know how to use a camera or a microphone, or I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know anything, and it's just been, a learning experience. Jordy says, no, not Jordy. Jord Bro says, Mo, are you from USA? If that is the case, where in the USA? New York City, my friend. The city of dreams, the city of lights. No, that's Paris. The city that never sleeps. Musa says, hi, Mo. We Barcelona fans in Nigeria, we really appreciate your efforts for bringing the latest news for our beloved club, FCB. Thank you, my friend, and I appreciate your support. I have so much support from Nigeria, by the way. It's pretty crazy. I think on my analytics, it's the third country with most viewerships. It's Nigeria. So thank you, my friend. I appreciate your support. Sayed says, Olmo missed 68 matches in 3 years. That's more than a season of games he missed. Yeah. He is very injury prone. Hopefully we can find a way to keep him healthy. And also, let's not forget, Dani Olmo's 26. Usually when players hit their prime, they become a little less injury prone. Not completely, of course. That's impossible. But we saw with Dembele, right? When Dembele now at PSG, he's not getting injured as much. Now people are like, oh, it's Barcelona. Not really. It's because he had a very weak muscles because he was overused when he was a kid. He was overplayed a lot. So he developed weak muscles. But when you hit your prime, it's not just your prime as a football player. It's literally your physical prime as a human being too. That's when your muscles, they grow, they get stronger, your ligaments finish forming, your joints finish forming, and that's when you become a little less prone injury because now you're stronger physically. So maybe Dani Olmo will get there, maybe not. I don't know, but hopefully we can do something about it. Cherno says, hi, Mo, watching from Gambia in West Africa. Thank you very much for keeping us up to date with Barca news. No, thank you, my friend, for watching, and let's do one more comment, and then we will end the podcast. No video tonight. There wasn't a lot of news. So just the podcast, and then we'll see you tomorrow in the videos. But let's do one more comment. Peace. Olufemi says, Monaco versus Barcelona predictions. Woo. I am hoping for a 3-0. Well, 0-3, since it's going to be Monaco versus Barca. Hoping it's 0-3. We need payback. or Gamper. Anyways. Actually, let's do one more. Slovalic. I hope I said that correctly. It says, Mo, I'm sending ingredients for a third time. Does Poland sound less important than other countries? Careful with your answer. Lewy will know. Does Poland sound less important than other countries? I mean, what do you mean? There's very ways to interpret this. I mean, are we talking about in the football sphere? Are they not as important football-wise? Are we talking in the economic sphere? Are we talking about political, geopolitical? Are we talking about... I don't know. I guess you have to be a little bit more clear, but I don't think any country is less important than any other country. I think we're all just humans trying to live in this crazy world in these made-up borders that were made by someone, and that's it. So no, I guess to answer your question in general, no, I don't think Poland is less important. I don't think any country is less important. I think us humans, we're all equal, and unfortunate we let others divide us with silly things like our skin color or our made-up countries or our heights or whatever. But anyways, all right. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, your comments, your generous donations. Thank you for being the most amazing YouTube community, and I truly mean that. I will see you tomorrow. Because remember, no more videos for today. I will see you tomorrow. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit it yet. And don't forget to hit the like button because it's very, very important. Anyways, with that, peace, guys.